the absurdity and the preposterousness of the Chinese claim is evidenced by the history of the Sino-Indian border dispute. In the eastern sector, there are three sectors to the Sino-Indian border. There is the eastern sector. In the eastern sector, the McMahon Line is recognized as the boundary between India and China from 1913 onwards, when representatives of India, China, and Tibet had initialed and endorsed a treaty to that effect in Simla. Insofar as the middle sector is concerned, there are no serious divergences between India and China except for certain minor issues here and there. The problem is really in the western sector, where the border historically has been undemarcated, now going back all the way to 1850. In 1865, the British made the first attempt to demarcate the boundary between the erstwhile princely state of Jammu and Kashmir and Tibet. They commissioned a surveyor called Johnson, who surveyed the border and drew something called the Johnson Line in 1865, which was endorsed by a British Major General called Ardegh, who was looking after British intelligence and looking after India specifically. And it is called the Johnson-Ardegh Line of 1865. Then you had the Foreign Office Line of 1873 and the Macartney-MacDonald Line of 1899. All three lines which were proposed by the British to the Chinese, but the Chinese neither accepted or rejected. All this condensed ultimately into the line of actual control in 1962 after the Sino-Indian War. So therefore, today, the real issue between India and China is that the Chinese have transgressed along that line of actual control at multiple points on a theater level. Analysts believe that the Chinese are currently in occupation of 2,000 square kilometers of Indian territory. This is the territory which the NDA-BJP government needs to get vacated. So under those circumstances, this government should seriously introspect, though the G20 is a multilateral forum, whether it would be in accordance with India's self-respect to be feting a person in Delhi, Xi Jinping, who is in illegal occupation of 2,000 square kilometers of Indian territory along the line of actual control. That is what needs to be vacated. And given the fact that the frontier in the western sector was undemarcated, these myths which the BJP keeps running, that Nehru gave up 38,000 square kilometers to China, is historically absolutely incorrect. Only an intellectually challenged person can make such a obnoxious claim. To sum it up, so therefore the Chinese maps are preposterous. They are not in sync with the history of the Sino-Indian border dispute. China has no claim whatsoever on Arunachal Pradesh. The border in the eastern sector is the McMahon Line, which has been recognized since 1913. The only pending issue between India and China is the vacation of those 2,000 square kilometers, which China has illegally occupied by transgressing across the line of actual control from April 2020 onwards.